La 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 la. It's getting a little scratchy there. I love the theme song of this movie. I love it, love it, love it. You
It's
excited
great.
about talking about this movie?
I am.
It's one of my favorites, top of the line, top shelf, one of my favorite movies of all time.
It is a good one.
I can't wait to hear what the Arbiter of Cinematic Excellence has to say about this. Are you ready to? And as a mother,
As a mother.
I can't wait to hear what your insight is as to how Mia Farrow was treated in this movie,
Yeah.
carrying her
An
child.
interesting child.
An interesting child. I wonder how he's going to do in school later. Do you think he'll have any developmental problems? Actually, they made a sequel to this movie, but the less said about that.
Oh, really?
Yep, a TV movie called Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby, and Ruth Gordon comes back and plays Mrs. Castevet.
You're kidding.
Minnie Castevet again.
So what happens in it?
I don't know. Never seen it.
Oh.
I've never, ever seen the sequel to this movie.
I picture that Mia Farrow tries to raise the child
As her own.
not evil.
Not evil. Well, the child wouldn't be evil. It's nature versus nurture, right?
That's right.
Well, there you go.
She nurtures him so much that he...
That he what? Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and your sommelier of cinema. And I am here with the woman of the hour, the woman whose show this is. Who are you?
I am Elysabeth Gwendoline Bell. I am the ace, the arbiter of cinematic excellence, and the enchantress of entertainment.
The enchantress of entertainment. And we're going to talk about a movie that enchants me.
This movie is very interesting.
Roman Polanski's Coming to America moment. 1968's Rosemary's Baby, based on the novel by Ira Levin. Polanski wrote the screenplay for this movie, and this movie won an Academy Award. Ruth Gordon as Minnie Castevet, won a Best Supporting Actress Award.
Oh.
Now, I have to say something. The official sommelier of the Burnettwork, Julius Goodwin, sent us, he has us enrolled in the
Yes.
Knocking Point Wine Club.
Yes.
Now, I got to read this. This is a special bottle of wine. It's called The Comeback. Don't call it a comeback, but you can call it a comeback because it's right there on the label. Now, I'd like to read, but since Julius put us in the wine club, I think it's interesting. This comes from Teddy's team. Our mission, raising awareness of stroke and heart disease while supporting survivors on their journey, giving them the means for a comeback. On October 30th, 2005, Teddy made his comeback to professional football, but the journey to get there was tough. Teddy and Heidi realized how lucky they were and wanted to be able to provide others with the assistance they might need for their comebacks.
Nice.
Through our Comeback Assistance Program, Teddy's team has the opportunity to financially assist and support stroke and heart disease survivors and caregivers on their personal comeback journeys. So let's hear it for Knocking Point Wines
Oh, very cool.
for supporting this with their The Comeback. Let's try that.
Very
Let's pour it up,
Pour it up.
as Kowalski says on his channel. All right. So, you know what? I wonder if they have an assistance program if you accidentally give birth to the son of Satan.
Spoiler.
So I don't mean to, denigrate don't call it a comeback wine. Let's try this to Roman Polanski's seminal and just classic Rosemary's Baby from 1968.
Yep.
Let's, it smells delightful.
Ooh.
It's lovely.
Oh.
You don't need to come back from this wine. It's good.
Oh, it has a nice finish.
Nice finish.
Wow. I love a good wine with a good long finish.
She likes a good wine with a good long finish. That's good to know. Okay, then. So this film, obviously based on a novel, this was one of the first big movies that was shepherded into existence by famous producer Robert Evans. He got it made by Charlie Bluthorn. If you don't like Robert Evans, I don't know what your problem is. One of the great books about Hollywood is The Kid Stays in the Picture. But if you really want to hear the great thing, get the audiobook, because Robert Evans read it. You're just going to love his voice, especially when he talks about Charlie Bluthorn. It's great.
His voice is amazing.
It's amazing. His stories are amazing. This movie is amazing. And this movie, set in 1965, It starts out with, of course, Guy and Rosemary Woodhouse. Guy is played by the great John Cassavetes, the director, the actor, one of the great indie directors of the late 60s and 70s. I love Guy Woodhouse. And as I was telling you, this movie is perhaps the best argument ever for why you should never date an actor. Don't you think?
Yes. Yes.
I think anybody
or
that...
even a musician. Because a musician would do the same thing.
Would a musician do this? I don't know.
Yeah.
And, of course, we all know that Guy Woodhouse is the famous actor who stars in Luther and Nobody Loves an Albatross. And you know what I did? I actually looked those up once, and those are real plays that were famous in the 60s. So they were contemporaneous. They were new to the production. And he was in Luther and Nobody Loves an Albatross. That was real. Those are real. And he's done a lot of television.
And radio.
So this movie opens with Alicia Cook, the great Alicia Cook, who is Samuel T. Cogley in the Star Trek episode Court Martial, showing them around the Bramford.
Yes.
Which is the famous Dakota in New York. The Bramford is what it's called.
An amazing building.
An amazing building. They're looking. They're new. I guess they're newlyweds.
They're newlyweds.
They're thinking about starting a family, looking for an apartment.
They're looking for a larger apartment.
How much do you think the exact same apartment would cost in New York now?
Oh my God, that apartment!
Like millions of dollars.
That apartment was so freaking amazing. I want an apartment like that.
Yes, built on the sound stages at Paramount. No, I'd rather have that apartment for real.
For real.
And so, they look for that apartment. They decide
so,
to
yes,
take it.
They are taking a tour of the apartment. And was it before they go or after they go that their former landlord tells them the history? The history of the place.
And I have to point out, their former landlord, Hutch, their very good friend, is the great Maurice Evans, who played who? Dr. Zaius in the Planet of the Apes movies. Maurice Evans played Dr. Zaius. Don't look for it, Taylor. You might not like what you find.
I would never have remembered that.
All right.
Sorry.
Well.
Okay, so.
But Hutch tells them all about how the
there's
Bramford.
There's a history to this building.
The Mercado family, Adrian Mercado.
That's right. A Satanist, a devil worshiper.
And sisters that are cannibal sisters.
Who eat children.
Who eat children, yes.
And they found a dead baby in the basement. All kinds of really creepy, crazy shit.
So in this movie, it's called the Bramford. I know it's the Dakota, and I know it's not the same building, but I'd like to believe that this is the building that Sigourney Weaver moves into in Ghostbusters, and that Rick Moranis already lives at, too. Goes to the Gozerian and the Keymaster, because all supernatural shit that happens in New York City happens at the Bram. Happens at the Bram.
Maybe. I don't think they could afford that building.
Well, perhaps not, but I just, I look at it and I'm like, why not?
Why not?
Anyway, so they move in.
So, yes, they, well, first of all, when they're visiting the apartment, you can hear the people on the other side of the wall. And it's this older couple.
Well, they don't really feel it until they move in. They can't hear them.
Well, no, even when they're visiting, you can hear what's going on in the next apartment. And it's because they split. It must have been a ginormous apartment.
Yeah.
They split it in half. And so the wall that splits the two apartments is pretty thin. Also, at one point, they're walking through a hallway, and this giant bureau was pushed against a closet door. And the manager is like, well, that's weird. The lady who lived here was 89 years old. There's no way she could have moved that by herself.
One of the things I love about this movie is there is a whole other movie that is ending while this one is beginning. And whatever happened to the lady that lived in the apartment, first of all, she has an herb garden.
She has an herb garden.
And so what you realize is that she had a falling out probably with the Castavets.
They were very good friends.
They
probably ended up having a falling out.
I know they had a falling out, and maybe she felt some remorse, because one of my favorite things in any movie is when Rosemary Woodhouse finds
She's looking at her shelves, and there's a piece of paper hanging out between books.
And it says, I can no longer associate myself. What happens to a person when you can no longer associate yourself? Does it happen when you might be involved with Satan worshippers who are part of a coven? Perhaps it does.
Yeah, and then when you don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah, when you want out, you found God at the end of your life. What have they done?
Right?
What did they do to that poor woman?
Well, she ended up being in a coma and then dying.
Well, yeah, but something tells me it wasn't of her own accord. I don't think it was natural causes.
I don't think so either.
I don't think it was natural causes.
Anyway, so they move in, they repaint everything, they make it beautiful, and they meet the neighbors.
They meet the neighbors.
And the neighbors are very eccentric, old couple.
The first people they meet Terry Giannoffrio.
Well, she meets her in the laundry.
She meets her in the laundry, but this is the thing. So Terry is living with the Castevets.
She lives with them. They took her off the streets. She was a drug addict.
What do you think they were going to use her for?
Yeah, well, they did. Well, no, because she ended up.
Why do you think
she do that?
And Terry seems like she's really nice, but she might have been, doing some bad things. She says I was taking drugs and doing worse things. She's probably hooking.
She was
probably open to experiences.
Yeah.
She was probably a receptacle.
I mean,
Well, poor Terry, what happens to her?
So she meets Terry in the basement as they're doing laundry. It's a creepy basement. And they make a deal to always do laundry together because it's creepy. But she says the Castevets are... The Castevets are really nice people. They take such good care of her. They've never had children, so they've taken her on as a child, basically. And
they might have had kids, but they were probably eaten when they were young.
Yeah, they probably ate their children.
Eaten as infants.
Yeah, I think so. So one day she is found on the sidewalk in front of the apartment building, and she had jumped out of the window.
She jumped out the window. Probably.
Oh, and another thing. They had given her this pendant with herbs in it. Herbs.
Tannis root.
That
smells terrible.
It smelled horrible.
Which tells you something about what was happening, because the only reason she was wearing that was because something had probably occurred.
Well, it was their part of their rituals.
Well, yes, but once you're part of the, but
well, we don't know that because when she gives it to Mia Farrow, it was before anything happened.
Right. So maybe she was targeted. Yeah, but maybe something happened to her that night, and that's why she jumped out the window.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, she might have been visited by Satan.
Yeah, maybe he tried to get it on with her, and she jumped out the window.
I would. And then we are introduced to, perhaps in my mind, two of the greatest horror villains of all time. Like if there's a horror couple that should live in the pantheon of great horror couples, it is Sidney Blackmer as Roman Castevet and Ruth Gordon as Minnie Castevet. They are so weird and eccentric and funny and smart, and you don't know it now.
Yeah, I mean, they're super charming. Like, I would hang out with them.
And Ruth Gordon has this weird affectation. She talks like this. You know how it is. It's so her performance. That's why she won an Academy Award. She is so good. By the way, we watched the film on the relatively new Criterion Blu-ray of Rosemary's Baby, and boy, does it look beautiful.
Man, I really like this wine.
This wine is very good.
Okay, where were we?
Knocking Point kind of knocks it out of the park.
This is really good. I wonder what kind of grapes are in here. I can't see.
I don't know.
Anyway.
A big resounding yes to the Knocking Point wine. Thank you, Julius Goodwin, the official sommelier of the Burnettwork. So, yes.
Okay, yes. Then Guy starts spending a lot of time with the Castevets. Like, he's always going over there.
Well, but we have to, yes, but they have to have dinner together first.
Oh, right.
And when they have dinner together first, there is one of my favorite things in any movie ever.
What?
So after they have dinner, Roman and Guy retreat to go smoke cigars together.
Right.
And there is, like, you know, they're talking, and it seems nice. You're getting to know them. Everything seems copacetic. These are very nice people. But then there's this... I don't know why I love this so much, but it's a shot, and you're looking down the corridor into the room where they're smoking. And you just see the back of their chairs. And you see that the smoke from each one of their cigars is kind of going up together. And you know later that Roman is making his pitch. Because
Right.
Guy is up for a very important role that he really wants.
Right.
You know, there's another actor that's going to maybe...
Well, yes, I think, but he was already rejected at that point.
Yeah, and
He went out for a role, and another guy got the role. So he was really disappointed.
Really disappointed. And what's great is there's all this, they're all talking and they're having a good time. Then it's just silent.
Yeah.
The two of them are silent, and you know Sidney Blackburn, you know Roman Castevet is totally pitching him.
Totally.
He's like, you know what?
But you don't see it because you are with Minnie and
The whole movie is from Rosemary Woodhouse's perspective.
right.
She's almost in every scene of the film, and
She is.
it is a great exercise in perception, because one of the things that I think is great about this film, and Roman Polanski talked about it in the little documentary, nothing supernatural happens in this movie.
No.
Nothing.
It's set in reality, and that's what makes this film so disturbing.
It's complete, and you don't know the viewer, the brilliance. If you've never seen this movie before, why are you watching this show? First of all, go home.
First, watch the movie and then come back and watch the show.
Yeah, come watch the show after you've seen this movie. This is one of the truly great. I mean, when I say a horror film, it is a horror film because it's dealing with. I mean, some of the great horror films deal with the most horrible truths about humanity. And this movie, Guy Woodhouse, I mean, Minnie Castevet and Roman Castevet, villainous. But Guy Woodhouse is straight up a man who will sell his wife down the river to get what he wants. He is just...
You're like ruining the whole...
Sorry. I mean, everybody knows. He's just
Jeez Louise.
He's such
you get at me for spoiling.
He's such a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, but you don't even know that until you realize what's happening.
All right. Keep going.
Because he's kind of like a charming dude.
Mm.
Although sometimes he treats her not so well, but because he's distracted. But he's like charming and
he's really charming,
funny,
and
he makes her laugh.
He truly loves his wife until somebody pitches him and says, you know, I can give you lifelong success. I mean, he is tempted. Whatever, you never know what Roman Castevet says to Guy Woodhouse. But he must be one hell of a salesperson, because Guy Woodhouse is all in.
Yeah, he cares more about his career than his wife. I mean, come on. Really?
Well,
who does that?
And what Roman Castevet asks Guy Woodhouse to allow to happen?
Well, should we just say it or talk
Well, you
about
can.
the movie?
I mean, we can't. We don't have to recount the whole plot, but I mean, because it is a lot of it's just paranoia, and it's not like there's plot points.
That's true.
I mean, it
Except her dream.
Yeah, she has a dream.
Her dream. After Minnie puts something in their dessert, their chocolate mousse, that she delivers conveniently right after they had a romantic dinner. And, they were having a romantic dinner because he got the role, because the guy who did get the role before him all of a sudden went blind. So after Roman Castevet has a cigar with Guy Woodhouse, things start happening in Guy's career. Weird stuff happens. So the guy who had the role went blind, so he gets the lead. He comes home, they're having a celebratory dinner. Then conveniently, Minnie brings over desserts as they're finishing their dinner. And
yes,
Mia Farrow starts eating it, and she's like, this has a chalky aftertaste. And her husband's like, no, and he's getting annoyed with her for saying that. And then he kind of like forces her to eat it.
Oh, he gaslights the fuck out of her in this
so
movie.
So much gaslighting.
I mean, this movie is anybody who's in an abusive relationship should watch this film, because this movie is a textbook example what a manipulative douche can do to the woman he loves.
I've been there.
I mean,
Not by you.
No, I don't. I don't gaslight.
I've been gaslit.
Yeah, I don't do that. But he gaslights, man, and it is that's what's so great. I mean, this movie really turns into this psychological game, and what I love about it is you don't know if it's her prepartum. Is
Right.
it depression? Is it because she gets pregnant and she's not? Well, we don't know that yet. She's not pregnant yet.
Right. So she eats half the dessert and hides the rest. And she starts feeling dizzy, and so he puts her to bed, and he starts taking her clothes off. He's like, why are you taking my clothes off? We can make a baby tomorrow night, because they had talked about making a baby. And she falls asleep. And
the dream sequences in this movie are masterful. They are masterful.
They are.
And this dream sequence is a doozy. In cinematic history, one of the great dreams... My favorite dream sequence in any movie ever, in any movie, is in Exorcist 3. Okay. Patrick Ewing and Fabio show up. It's greatest. It's greatest. It's the greatest dream sequence in any movie ever. But this might be number 2.
Yes, she has an interesting dream.
So what happens in this dream?
She is on a
boat.
A boat, and somebody's taking her clothes off, and there's like people around, and then all of a sudden she's on this slab, like a door or something, that's like lifting her up, and then she's in a room surrounded by all the neighbors. Nobody has clothes on, like all the neighbors, and even her husband is there. And all her neighbors are old, like they're all old, and they're all naked.
Because they're all fucking part of this witch's coven.
Yeah, and they're surrounding her, and then one of the dudes has a paintbrush, and he's like painting red. Who knows what the red is? All over her body. He makes a symbol on her body, and then somebody starts.
Well, I mean, somebody with like claws and
well,
horrible.
At first it's a man, and then all of a sudden she opens her eyes, and it's like this claws, and
she says, "This is real. This is happening."
Yeah, and she realizes like this is not a dream.
And the claws are scratching her.
Claws, and like she sees eyes that are.
Straight up, Satan is raping Rosemary Woodhouse. Satan is having his way with her. Now, it is a dream sequence, so it could be what her mind is. But maybe it's Guy Woodhouse is on top of her, but the power of Satan is channeling through him. But I would like to believe that it's actually Old Scratch has come up from the depths of hell, because I love my satanic.
Absolutely.
I mean, this might be. For me, the 1-2 punch of Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist are the greatest depictions, like, satanic, because they're real, you know, and all you see in the dreams, that's all you see. You don't know what happens.
You don't. And in the morning, she wakes up, and she's got scratches on her shoulder and her back, and she's like, what are these? And then he tells her that he had sex with her. And she's like, what?
She's totally drugged, and he raped her. Either way...
He said he raped her, but either way, like, the devil raped her, but he's saying that he raped her to make an excuse, but the fact that he would even think that was okay, like, it was so
he stood
creepy.
by, and according to the dream, he stood by and watched the ultimate cuck.
And he giggles and says, oh, it's kind of like necrophilia, because you were out.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, Guy Woodhouse is the world's ultimate cuck. He stands by while a room full of people watch his wife get impregnated by Satan.
Yeah, he watched it too.
There is no bigger cuck, and I don't mean that from a political, I mean the actual cuckolding. When you're cuckolded by Satan himself, it doesn't, you can't go any lower. Like, Guy Woodhouse is the most contemptible husband man ever, the slimiest, most horrible, which is why I love him, because he's the fucking worst.
He is the worst.
And it's John Cassavetes, which makes it even better, because he relishes this part. He's so good in it.
He is.
And there begins a long succession of the cast. If the cast wasn't already great, Charles Grodin, plays Dr. Hill. That's going to be, she gets pregnant. She's now pregnant.
Right. She finds out she's pregnant, so she goes to see a doctor that was recommended to her by her friend.
A nice guy, Dr. Hill, Charles Grodin.
Yes, right. So
Chuck, Midnight Run, Charles
she
Grodin.
goes to see him, and he confirms she's pregnant, and so she's happy. She goes home and tells her husband, and somehow he's like, oh, the first thing he says is, I want to go tell Minnie and Roman.
Yeah, let's go tell Minnie
like,
and Roman.
She's like, what?
Why do you want to tell them?
Like, that's weird. And she's like, okay. So he runs over there and tells them, and they all come over, and then they convince her not to see Dr. Hill, that she needs to see this other doctor.
Dr. Abraham Saperstein. And let me just point out, being a Jew myself, Abraham Saperstein sounds like a Jew to me.
Yes.
A Jew has facilitated Satan himself coming up from the depths of hell.
Wait a second, a Jewish Satanist? I don't know about that.
No, he's not a Jewish Satanist. He's just doing what, he's playing both sides against the middle. I think Abraham Saperstein, no, he's a complete straight up Satanist.
Yeah, he is.
He is a total Abraham Saperstein is, I mean, we're giving away. But first of all,
you already gave it away.
Ralph Bellamy is so good. The cast, the acting in this movie is so good. Every character and Dr. Saperstein is like,
Dr. Saperstein tells her that she doesn't need prenatal vitamins, that Minnie's going to mix a concoction of herbs for her every day.
That's going to end well.
So she's like, okay. And every day Minnie brings her this gross looking mixture of herbs.
Yeah, that pretty much is
she drinks and she just gets sicker and sicker and sicker, and like she's like losing weight and her eyes are sunken in, and finally her friend Hutch comes to see her, and he can't believe how awful she looks.
Right.
And he's very suspicious.
Dr. Zayas.
Yeah. Yeah, and she explains the herbs and everything, and
he's not having any of
it. She tells him about the herbs hanging from her neck, the tannis root, and he thinks that's all strange. And so as he's leaving, and all of a sudden, her husband shows up, and it's the middle of the day. He usually doesn't come home till evening, and he shows up to spy on them.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that Minnie and Roman heard him talking or something and called Guy or got a hold of him or had Satan make a special phone call. I mean, what's...
as he's leaving, he notices there's a glove missing.
There is a glove missing. Yes. And one of the great things about this movie is, like, I love paranoid conspiracy thrillers, but this movie is the ultimate paranoid conspiracy thriller. That, like all great paranoid conspiracy thrillers, turns out to be in fact real.
Yeah.
And this poor woman, you feel for her so much, and you watch her ensnared in this web. And we know, the audience, especially now, you watch it now, and we know that what's going on, like you suspect, but it still plays with your perception, because you're still like, is it real? Is it not real? Like, what's happening? What's going on? And it just gets worse and worse and worse for her. And the way that Guy just totally, like, is all in on this. Like,
yes,
he is spearheading this, and as his career is taking off, and
it's taking off, and he's making sure that she's, not that his secret isn't being revealed.
And he can't even touch her.
He doesn't even want to touch her. Or
he can't touch her because he knows he watched the devil fuck his wife.
He can't. She's like, we're not communicating anymore. You don't even look at me. You don't touch me.
He's the ultimate cuck.
He's making excuses as to, I'm so stressed, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't say, honey, I actually watched the devil put his dong in you. You got devil donged, and I'm never going to touch you again.
Devil donged?
I mean, they never know. Yeah, she was devil donged. And you never, the thing is, you know he's got some side piece or four Like, you know that they arranged.
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, they did. Are
I
you
think
kidding?
I think that he thinks like this is gonna be like she's gonna give birth. We'll tell her it died, and then they're gonna move on and start their family. That's what he thinks.
Do you think Guy Woodhouse believes that it's really the devil's child?
Yeah, because he saw it happen.
I think he does too. Like, he has to know.
Yeah, but in his mind, he's like, okay, I made this deal. I'm going to hand over this baby. I'm going to lie to my wife. And then he even says to her, we're going to go to California because I'm going to be in the movies. And at that point, in his mind, he thinks, okay, I'm going to deceive her and she'll buy it. And then we're going to move to California and then start our family and be happy, live happily ever after.
But he's never going to touch her again. He can't wait to get rid of her. Like, once you've
But he doesn't realize that.
No, he does. Once you've watched your wife devil donged, you are never going back. You're never going back.
No.
You are not sloppy seconds to Satan.
That's not what he's thinking.
It is, though.
No, because he would have just left at that point.
No,
but
he can't.
didn't.
No, he can't leave because he has to make sure his wife gives birth. That's the deal. He has to be there through the whole pregnancy.
Even after the baby is born.
Well, yeah, but he has to. They still have to get. He needs his mother. There's a period of time.
No, because he even says to her. We're going to go to California. It's all going to be fine.
He's gaslighting her. It's just.
No,
he's just,
at
yes.
that. No, I don't. I disagree with you. I think that he really thought that this was going to work out.
Oh, you mean after she gives birth to Satan's son? That
Yeah.
They can,
He thought, okay, that's it. We're going to go to California. It's all done.
Yeah, that's until he watched his wife be devil donged, and then he couldn't deal with it.
No, I don't agree.
Well, okay. Well. So it just gets worse and worse for poor old Rosemary Woodhouse. She's getting bigger and bigger, and I have to tell you,
she's in a lot of pain.
And she's in pain, and you feel it, man. You feel it, and the way as she gets bigger and bigger, the way she walks and waddles, like she gets more sallow. And we should explain, during the filming of this actual movie, Frank Sinatra was so pissed at her. She was married to Frank Sinatra.
Well, she was supposed to be on his movie, and this movie was taking so long that he threatened, like, if you don't come and do this movie with me, it's over.
And she's like, no, Frank. And he served her with divorce papers at the studio.
Yes.
Mia Farrow was actually divorced by Frank Sinatra. Well, the papers were filed. I mean, she was served. He went there. He went and served her with the papers, I think.
No, he didn't. He had them sent.
Oh, he didn't go?
No. Nope. And she had to pull herself together and finish the film. And thank goodness she did, because what an amazing movie. It did so much better than his movie.
It did do. And I should say, you know what his movie was?
The detective.
His movie was The Detective. And why is The Detective important?
I don't know why.
Because The Detective is the first book that was written by Roderick Thorpe. And what did Roderick Thorpe follow the detective up with? That was the second story about the same detective? The book Nothing Lasts Forever, which was made into Die Hard. But Frank Sinatra was too old to play John McClane in that movie.
You're kidding!
So Die Hard is actually, well, you could call it, even though it's not, but it would have been the sequel to The Detective that Frank Sinatra was making while she was shooting Rosemary's Baby. So there's your Die Hard.
First of all, how old was Frank Sinatra when he was married to Mia Farrow?
Oh, like he was like twice her age or something.
Yeah, like what the hell? And the funny thing is, in the interview, she was like, yeah, when I met, who's the guy who played Guy?
John Cassavetes.
Yeah, he was an older guy. He made me nervous. I was like, you were married to a dude who was even older than that.
Yeah, so you'd think Mia Farrow would understand if somebody who's older marries somebody who's her age, like... But apparently she doesn't. Hello, pathology.
Yeah.
False accusations.
She's kind of a messed up girl.
Kind of messed up. Don't believe a word she says.
Maybe it's because she did this movie.
Yep. But she's made a great man's life hell for a long time.
She was raised in a very devout Catholic family. So this movie, making it, freaked her out.
Yeah.
It freaked her out.
Yep, and she learned everything she knew about gaslighting people on this. Just saying. Mia Farrow. I don't believe her. I don't trust her.
She gave birth to the devil.
That's right. So if she was to say, I don't know, persecute somebody she was involved with later. Lies,
Okay.
lies, lies. Just saying. Just saying.
All right,
Without saying.
let's get back on the movie.
I know we took a side, but I just want to point out that how this movie is tied into Die Hard.
Right.
Different studio.
Very interesting.
So, but watching her, I mean, I have to say, I love Mia Farrow. I mean, as an actress.
Yes.
I love her performances. I really like. I don't like her as a human being. I think she's a garbage human being. But as a what she's done to a certain individual that I admire, well, we'll leave that alone. But as she's an incredible, her performance in this movie is incredible. You feel for her every step of the way. You want to reach into the screen and help her, don't you?
Absolutely. With those giant blue eyes and just that gorgeous face.
And what did you tell me about her haircut?
Oh, yes. So I think
You kind of have a Rosemary's Baby Mia Farrow haircut yourself.
because it's Vidal Sassoon.
Now, how would you know? Did you know what? Don't you have a connection to Vidal Sassoon?
I do. So I went to Vidal Sassoon Academy,
Okay.
and it was the year that he died, and he was actually going to come to the academy to see us, to talk to us, and he ended up dying, so we didn't get to meet him. But yes, I went to his academy.
And he cut her hair for this movie.
He cut her hair. Yep.
Did they talk about that in your Vidal Sassoon?
Absolutely. She went to him. She was upset because of the divorce and got her hair cut. And they had to work it into the film because that was not the plan, was to have her hair so short.
Well, you know, what is the word? Fecund? A girl more robust. If you're anyway, Roman Polanski did not want. He wanted a woman that was much more, let's call her, ripe, and didn't want to go in a different direction. And I think even the pixie haircut and the fact that she gets thinner and thinner and thinner works so well for this film.
It works really well.
Peak verisimilitude.
Because she seems so innocent and she seems easy to take advantage
like a
of.
pixie. She's like a pixie. You
Yeah,
can't.
and she's like a child in this movie.
Yeah, a naive child.
Yeah. So yeah, it worked well.
And did you like when we were watching it? When you were watching it last night, how did you? Especially watching it now, what I find really interesting about going back and watching, especially horror films, they're so much a product of their time. There's
Yeah.
like, you know, there's a lot of talk about how post-Vietnam movies like Night of the Living Dead, well, not really post, during, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Last House on the Left, but this movie is late 60s, based on a novel. How did you, like, as a mother and all of that feel? Like, I'm always curious, like, I can never watch this movie and know what it's like to be a mother who's pregnant. But whenever I see movies like this, I always wish that I had the experience of knowing what it's like to have a difficult pregnancy so I could truly understand the horrific feelings that she has.
Oh my God. I was so sick both times. Like, sick the entire pregnancy. So I definitely could understand what she was going through.
Did you think that your husband was part of a satanic cult, perhaps? And that's why you're so sick?
He probably was, and but I didn't know it at the time.
The divorce is final, right? Just checking. Okay. But yeah, I mean, this film is so... The way Polanski... I mean, you know what? The direction of this film is so... Let's call it, I guess for lack of a better term, mature. It's just so... It deals with human psychology and relationships, and there are no jump scares.
No,
There is no...
well, that's why it's so disturbing, because it's real. It's real.
And
Like,
he made a film earlier, another film that I think is one of the great horror movies ever made, which is Repulsion, with Catherine Deneuve, which is an unbelievable movie that treads down the same road as this does. But I love this idea that you know, this woman is being victimized in the worst possible way as a mother. The
Yes.
sanctity of being a life giver, a caregiver,
Right.
has been violated
and the
in
thought
the
that
worst
her
possible
husband
way.
could just take her baby away, like that's
Well, or to stand by and desecrate. I mean, the desecration of their marriage It couldn't be worse.
It's terrible.
And he stood by and allowed his wife to be desecrated by Satan for greed, for avarice, just for profit,
greed,
and for his own narcissistic ego mania. I mean, it's dealing with the very darkest parts of humanity, but in an entertaining way. And I find this movie to be just masterful, a masterful examination of just how shitty human beings can be, but also the resilience and the power of Mia Farrow to stand up to this. Yes. Even though she is facing the most overwhelming odds, the greatest evil any human being can face, she is totally alone. What happens to poor old Hutch, her best friend?
Yeah, so they put a spell on him, and he ends up in a coma and then dies 3 months later, but then leaves her a book, which is what puts her on, because he knows, and he was supposed to meet her the next morning, but he went into a coma, so couldn't give her the book. But on his deathbed, he did wake up, enough to explain to his caretaker or his friend that this book was supposed to go to her. So she gets the book, and it's about witches.
All of them witches.
All of them witches. And
which is an anagram.
He had underlined some stuff and turned down corners, and so she's going through the book and she's just blown away. And another thing, she goes to the funeral, and then the friend who gave her the book also said that he said his last words were it's an anagram. The name is an anagram. So she starts thinking about that, and she starts playing with the Scrabble tiles to try to figure out what he meant. And then she discovers that Stephen Mercado, what is it?
Steve Mercado, yeah.
Mercado is the son of Adrian Mercado, who was the Satanist that Hutch had told her about previously. The son, so she messes with his name and figures out that it's Roman Castevet. He is the son.
The son of Adrian Mercado.
That's right.
And so the family business, which is worshiping the devil, has continued on in the Bramford. It has never left. It has been going on there the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's just, the reveal is great. The way it's directed is great. It's so elegantly directed, and so it's just masterful the way that this unfolds. It's so, again, this is a horror movie for adults.
Yeah.
Not that all horror movies aren't for adults, but this is a psychological movie that deals with, again, no. I mean, this could be a metaphor for any time a woman is being completely gaslit by the relationship, the man that she's in a relationship with. I mean, you can look at this film as an entire metaphor for the loneliness of pregnancy. You know, how even though you might have an attentive partner, they'll never really know what's going on in your body and all that. I mean, there's so much happening in this film. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it might be my second favorite horror film of all time, only behind The Exorcist.
Yeah, this is a great film. I mean, you totally feel for her. I mean, she's totally being taken advantage of from every angle, from every person. And then the people who actually care about her are killed.
Yeah, they're just straight up killed. I mean, Terry in the beginning, Terry D'Onofrio.
Terry, and then Hutch. It's like Hutch was trying to help her, and he ends up dead, which is terrible.
I mean, and her husband sells her out.
Her husband, who's supposed to be there and protect her, it's mind blowing.
It's just monstrous. The plot of this movie is monstrous, and which makes it great. That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
And yet in the face of all of that, in the face of all that, when she learns the truth, she knows the truth.
She tries to run away.
She does, but she still finds the wherewithal. She does not give up.
She doesn't give up.
She fights.
And
she escapes. She goes to see Dr. Hill.
She does go see Dr. Hill, but her story is so crazy that he thinks she's insane.
In prepartum depression.
Right.
And I have to say, every time I watch this movie, every single time, I'm like, Charles Grodin, don't call Dr. Saperstein. Don't call Abraham Saperstein. Please don't call him. Please. Every time, I think I think that maybe this time is the time that Rosemary Woodhouse escapes. Like I told this story on my own show. When Mark Allman and I were making Free Enterprise, he had never seen Rosemary's Baby. And Rosemary's Baby was playing at the Sunset 5, and I took him 4 weekends in a row. We saw this movie at midnight, 4 weekends in, I think in the month of October. This would have been October of 98.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it 4 times in a row. And he was, because he'd never seen it, he was blown away. He's like, "You want to go see it again?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do." And it's just, but every time I see it, I would sit there and like, maybe Dr. Hill. Maybe this is the time.
But
and
no.
then, I mean, she goes to sleep. "You rest now." And she wakes up, and he holds open the way it's directed to, the way he holds open the door, and Dr. Saperstein.
And you just see the look on her face, and it's, you feel it. You feel like, wow.
I mean, the one person could have been her white knight, the shining beacon, sells her out. I'm thinking about it now. I'm shivering.
Yeah.
Why, Charles Grodin? Why did you sell Rosemary Woodhouse out to Dr. Saperstein and to Guy Woodhouse?
He thought he was doing the right thing.
You know, sometimes, hashtag believe all women could have helped.
In this case, yes.
Could have helped. I mean,
but would you have believed a crazy story like that they're all witches, and even the doctor, your colleague?
Now, let me ask you a question.
Your colleague?
Let me ask you a question. Do you think I would believe that story? What do you think I would do if Rosemary Woodhouse walked into my office and told me this entire story?
But, okay, let's say you were a doctor, a man of science.
No, it would still be me. If somebody told me this story, I'd be like, "Let's get you the hell out of here. Let's go right now."
Yes, you. Okay, yes, you. But
I would believe.
You're the only one.
And then it's so bad. Like, they take her and, it's just...
Oh, it's so sad. They take her and they drug her up and she goes into labor. And when she wakes up for a moment and her husband's there and he's like, "Everything's fine, you had a boy." And then she goes back to sleep and then wakes up again to Dr. Saperstein saying the baby died. Betrayed again by her husband, who again lied to her just to, cover up shit.
I mean, insult to injury, these two guys. I mean, you talk about...
And she knows. She's like, "You took my baby.
And then they just drug her again.
Yep.
Dr. Saperstein hits her with another needle full of sedative. It's so... I mean, by the way, if this movie got made today... this movie got remade as a miniseries with Zoe Saldana as Rosemary Woodhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't watch it. Because I can't, I know they want to remake these things, but there's 90% of remakes are not as good.
True. But we did watch the remake of, oh my God. Damn it.
I don't know what the remake of, what, The Ring?
No. It was a show. With,
First word. Show. What is the show?
Damn it. Forget it.
I know, what is it? I want to know.
It'll come to me later.
The remake of what? People want to know out there.
It was a remake of a movie that you really like with John Cusack. And they remade it with forget it.
Wait, a movie with John Cusack that they remade.
Yeah, about the guy who's obsessed with music and he's like a snob about music.
Oh, High Fidelity.
Yes, High Fidelity.
High Fidelity.
They remade it with
Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz. I love Zoe Kravitz. It was so good, remember? At first you were like, "What? How could they remake this?" And then
I
you
was
were like,
mixed. Wait, what does that have to do with anything?
Because we were talking about remakes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I have problems with I do have problems with that remake.
Yeah, but you watched every episode with me.
I did watch. Yes, I did.
And you liked it. You guys should watch it.
All I'm saying is it got canceled after it's not coming back. It got canceled. Straight up canceled.
How do you know?
Because it got canceled. I follow entertainment news. It's my job.
I thought that show was really good.
All right, well.
I'm sad. Anyway, back to Rosemary's Baby.
Back to Rosemary's Baby. So she gets up. She keeps waking up from a drug stupor, and they give her pills, but she starts hiding the pills.
She starts hiding the pills, and
she hears the sound of a baby crying.
Yeah, because she turns off the air conditioner, and the person who's taking care of her is also like a Satanist, and she makes her pump her milk and everything.
Like, I know she's pumping her milk. Like
if your baby's dead, you don't need to be pumping.
But then they're gaslighting her. They're like, it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know.
And she's like, what are you going to do with the milk? Oh, we just throw it out. But then she puts a dirty spoon in it, and she's like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do. I mean, it's. And by the way, that's what is that? Laura Louise.
She's great.
Laura Louise is great. I mean, every single person that's in this movie is cast. One of my favorite is like the Chinese guy, the Japanese guy, with the camera, who's all like really excited, like the Asian Satanist who's come. Let me take pictures. It's great.
And they let him take pictures.
It's great. They don't care. They're like proud of what they do. And then finally, the mystery of the closet and the chest of drawers.
She hears a baby. They again lie to her, or he says it's the new neighbors. They have a baby. Her husband's a real piece of shit. Anyway, so when he's out of the house, she goes to check out the closet, and takes everything out of it, and discovers there's a door that leads to the other apartment. So she goes and gets a knife. And she goes into the other apartment, and there's a gathering in the living room. And she goes into the living room with her knife and her nightgown. And they're all, like, celebrating. And
they're all celebrating. The year is won! Hail Satan! Hail Adrian!
Well, they say that after they discover her.
They
so
do.
She walks up, and and her husband's there, too. And she just can't even believe it.
And he can't even look at her. He's like wearing this nice, but another as the Viceroy of Verisimilitude, something happens at the end of the movie that is so good. It's something I love so much, and that is this beautiful man, this beautiful like Euro trash guy, Diego, rolls in, and he's like every Euro trash rich heiress or some guy from old European money. You don't know where he's from. He could be Spanish, he could be French, he could be Portuguese. You don't know who he is. He just comes in and he's very, very excited to be there.
He's tall and very.
And he's like for me, he's like from the Vatican of Satanism. He's come from Europe.
I think he's a vampire.
Well, yeah, he's come from the European, where whoever. Oh, the Americans were able to finally conjure up the son of Satan. Yeah. Good for you.
He's a vampire.
Yeah, now we're gonna send in the guy from the Home Office.
Pay his respects.
And he's like, oh, is this the mother? Looking at her, and
he's in awe, like, oh.
They don't even explain it. He just shows up, but as the viewer, you're like, oh, this is the Eurotrash guy who's been
But that's
the head
after she looks at the baby. So she walks
No,
into
it's before. It's before she actually goes and looks at the baby.
Are you sure?
It is. It's before, because remember she goes and looks at the baby.
No, she goes. No,
or maybe it's all part of the whole end scene.
When she goes into the living room, she can't believe all the people. She sees the cradle, which is draped in black, and she hears the baby, and she says, "I want to see the baby." And Roman's like, "Of course you can see the baby.
You're its mother."
Yeah, you're its mother.
And it isn't until Laura Louise is rocking the baby
But that's after. So she goes up to see the baby, and she screams. She screams.
What have you done to its eyes?
Yeah.
He has his father's eyes.
So she recoils in disgust and is sitting just dumbfounded. Like she can't even like fathom what is going on. And that's when that guy comes in.
You're right. That's when he comes in. You're right.
And then now the baby's crying, and what's the other woman's name?
Laura Louise.
Laura Louise is rocking him too hard, and she realizes, like, okay, this creature is my child after all.
Okay, you know what's really interesting too? Now, this is just me, but like all the old women, the fact that she's rocking the baby like she is means that she's never actually rocked a real child.
No.
So all of the women, all of the old women that are part of this coven, probably even Ruth Gordon, they all wanted to be the vessel that birthed the devil's child.
Right.
And none of them could be.
No.
But that was the thing. Once, or maybe they had all tried and they couldn't handle it. You had to be pure of heart. like Mia Farrow. Like I'm reading into.
She was chosen. That's what.
Of all the women in the world, you were chosen. Oh, it's so great. I love it so much. But yeah, like all of these women, I think that one time they were all. That's why they joined the coven or whatever.
Maybe.
But maybe. But in my mind, and I'm conjuring up the whole thing about
you're making up stories now.
Diego, because he's Spanish. Yeah, I'm making it up. But what I love about this movie is it gives you those things to, like, make up. Well, there's a whole backstory. This has been hundreds of years.
We should do the backstory.
Horrible satanic worship that goes on in the Bram.
Anyway.
So what happens at the end?
So she decides to go over to the baby and rock it properly. And that's the end. By the way, she spit in her husband's face.
She did spit in her husband's face. Well, what's great is that the whole end of the movie, John Cassavetes can't even face her.
No.
He can't. He's so more.
After she sees the baby and she's dumbfounded, he goes over to her and says, well, it was all going to work out fine because we were going to go to California and start our family, and she spits in his face.
The most pathetic, cuckold man in all of cinema history is John Cassavetes as Guy Woodhouse. The worst. And it's so great. And he's always got that kind of like, well, Ro. That sort of half smile that he's so smarmy and so horrible.
Narcissist. I hate that guy.
So what did you think of this movie, Elizabeth?
This movie is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
It's so good. I remember when I first saw it, I was a teenager. I think it was late on TV.
Right.
I couldn't believe what I was watching. But I loved it then.
Well, because, this is a film that, first of all, it presupposes intelligence on the part of the audience. It knows that the audience is smart.
Right.
And the way Polanski drags you around in the film, directs this film.
And he makes it so real. Like, the way people are interacting with each other is very real.
Very real.
The dreams feel very real. It feels like what a dream would really feel like.
Well, absolutely. And
everything is so, like, realistic.
No, and I think that's really, as the viceroy of verisimilitude, I think that the way it elevates the material to a whole nother level. It takes it to another level of maturity. And if you can create horror and make it absolutely realistic, because that's really hard to do. Yeah. That's like if you're studying martial arts, the or Sun Tzu or something, you have to be so disciplined. This is like the height. This and The Exorcist, to me, are the height of, even something like Silence of the Lambs descends into pulp territory when Anthony Hopkins is like, but this is complete realism.
I don't know about that.
Well, Silence of the Lambs, come on, it gets a little movie when it's great when they're going back and forth. But the believability factor in this is astonishing. And it's this true. And The Exorcist, the reason these two movies, I love them so much, is because it brings the horror into the real world. Like, you believe that this could happen here and now.
Yeah.
Because it never breaks. The image of the eyes. What have you done? That's from the dream. Dream, because it's unreal, so it's okay, but it's not too histrionic. Even that dream, you believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great movie.
A great, great, great film. I never get tired of this movie. Mm-mm. And it feels timeless.
Yeah, totally.
Is there anything you didn't like about this movie?
No.
Yeah, other than John Cassavetes, I wish Dr. Hill would help her one time.
He's not going to.
Just one time when
He'll never help her.
It's like in The Purple Rose of Cairo, a movie directed by, Woody Allen. Woody Allen directed The Purple Rose of Cairo, and there's a woman in the audience going, I want what happened in the movie last week to happen this week. Otherwise, what's it all about? Anyway, I don't know why I brought up Woody Allen.
I don't know why you would.
Let me see. We have a letter. Let me get to the letter. Our letter comes from Remo Ugolini. Remo Ugolini says, I am looking forward to your Horror Month movie reviews, and I loved hearing your thoughts on the Vampire Circus and the Karnstein trilogy. The Hammer films were such fun to watch when I was growing up, and it was nice to hear someone who feels the same way. I had some horror film mentions, but I tried to find little-known films that might be fun to discover and take a chance on. I've broken them down into my favorite gothic monsters. Werewolves. Ginger Snaps, a Canadian film about a coming of age of two young teenage girls and lycanthropy. By the way, a fantastic movie. In the Company of Wolves. It's actually In the Company of Wolves, which I own on Blu-ray. A film by Neil Jordan that's a dreamy mixture of Red Riding Hood, werewolves, and the erotic. It is. I love it. You know what? I always forget about this film. It's terrific.
I want to see that.
I have it. Oh, we should watch it. Pontypool, a film that Jeffrey Coughlin, my producer on Free Enterprise 2, produced.
It's zombies now. You didn't
Yeah,
read the
zombies.
category.
Zombies. This is the next thing. Zombies. Pontypool, by the way, Pontypool is great. Another Canadian film where a DJ is trapped in his radio station by a zombie invasion caused by a linguistic trigger. And certain English words can turn people into zombies when they hear them. In a cheeky Canadian twist, speaking French doesn't cause any problems.
Ooh, see?
Cemetery Man. Della Morte dell'Amore. Rupert Everett is taking care of an Italian cemetery where he has to make sure the dead stay dead and not get off the ground. Some bizarre moments that are very darkly comical and only Europeans could come up with. Vampires. A girl walks home alone at night. A very arty movie shot in America, but in Farsi, about a female vampire who is a nighttime avenging anti-hero wearing a burqa and riding a skateboard. You know, I have that on Blu-ray.
Wow.
Yes, I do. Only Lovers Left Alive. We watched that. A comedy drama by Jim Jarmusch that tries to take vampires and make them hipster musicians. The vampire couple in the movie is played by Tom Hiddleston and Tilda Swinton as very old hipsters who have a younger vampire crash their crumbling Detroit Victorian mansion and turn their home upside down with her bad behavior.
We saw that?
Yeah, we did. You don't remember? I showed it to you early on. I have the Blu-ray. Remo, that is a great list, by the way. I wholeheartedly approve of that list. Yes, I do. I guess let's jump over to... My God, we're already over time. We're 10 minutes over time. That's amazing.
We're always over time.
It seemed like it took 5 minutes. Let's get down and see where we are at here. Where am I at? Julius Goodwin, who gave us this wine, became a member of the channel.
Great.
By the way, at 30,000 subs, you can become members of the channel. You can become a member of this channel for 99 cents a month. And all kinds of things are going to happen because you do. Art Ross became a member. Cheers to both of them.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys. Anyway. Random YouTube comment sends in a tip and says, Patrick Bateman, do you like Phil Collins? RMB, sure. Do you like Satan? Patrick Bateman, not as much as I like Huey Lewis in the news. RMB, hail Paimon. Patrick Bateman, does she work at the ACLU? RMB, I like that. Thank you, random YouTube comment.
Hilarious.
Justin Tonner says, hi guys, was part of another awesome Zoom watch party for this movie with the Richard, Bunyan Snipe, and others last night. By the way, let me welcome, we have a new moderator. Not like the new number 2 in a Prisoner episode where the old number 2 is never seen again. Well, sometimes they are, but Bunyan Snipe, a longtime member of the Post Geek Singularity, Bunyan Snipe has become an official moderator of this channel. So welcome, Bunyan Snipe.
Very cool.
He's kind of like one of the corpses at the end of The Hunger when Miriam Blaylock puts her dead lovers with all the other dead lovers that are so old and decrepit they can't get out of there. And she says, welcome him. So welcome Bunyan Snipe the way Miriam Blaylock welcomed or told all of the other former lovers she had to welcome David Bowie. It's like that. Anyway, so Justin Tonner says, hi guys, was part of another awesome Zoom watch party for this movie with the Richard, Bunyan Snipe, and others last night. Been a long time since I'd watched this film. Still a great creepy horror classic. We'll get this from Criterion on the next 50% off sale. It's a great disc. You got to get it. Bunyan Snipe is here. Dana Barrett lived at the Shandor building. They just rebranded it, man. They just rebranded it. It was the Bramford. You know it. 666 sent in a super chat. Well, thank you, 666. I'm glad 666 is here to watch this chat. Hail Satan. Hail Adrian. The year is one. Let's drink to Satan on Earth.
No.
Why not? And you know what?
They were even freaked out in the filming of that scene.
The
The actors, they were freaked out. They're like, we shouldn't be saying this so much.
Yes, that is Sidney Blackmer he's such a nice, sweet man. He did not like saying "Hail Satan, the year is one." He didn't like it. Oh, you know what? I've been wanting to meet Satan my whole life, to be honest.
Oh my God.
We could bro down. We could have a few beers. You know.
He doesn't bro down.
Sure he does. Bunyan Snipe says, I always thought the Eurotrash guy was Satan. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh.
I've never thought about that before.
Wow. Yes.
You know, but see, I don't buy that because he goes, is this the mother? He would know.
He was trying to play off being a human.
I don't know, man. That's interesting. Bunyan Snipe, I don't know.
That is interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if I buy that. He would know. He doesn't. Satan doesn't ask. He. I don't know.
He's playing off being a human. He didn't want to give it away.
But they all know him. They all know him.
Yeah, they all know him.
Well, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around since Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. That's interesting, Bunyan Snipe. That's why you're a moderator. See, now you've thrown my worldview about this movie into whack.
Yeah, no, I'm following that. I think that's...
No, because you know what? If he was Satan, he would walk in the room and own it. It's like he doesn't...
He did!
No, but they're happy to see him, but I don't think he's... Like, he wouldn't... He
but
wouldn't
why
ask...
throw in some random dude that comes in there unless it's some...
No, he's from the Home Office in Europe.
Of...
No, because, you know what? They've got the Japanese guy who's come from the Asian contingent of satanic worshippers with his camera, and he's the Eurotrash guy that's shown up a little late for the party.
No, I think he's Satan.
Oh, see.
Yes.
You know what? Now I've got to read someone's monograph on the... is that true? Have you read that? Did Mark Kermode tell you that, Bunyan Snipe? I have to know. I have to know. But you've definitely food for thought.
Yes,
food for
definitely.
thought. Timbula the Spider Monkey says, an idea for your second figure shelf. Make it an Elizabeth shelf. Whenever you watch a movie on WINEing that you have a figure of, Elizabeth should unbox it.
Yes.
And it goes, I said today that this shelf, I want to have figures.
That's brilliant. Who said that?
Timbula the Spider Monkey.
Well, yeah, that's a brilliant idea. I love that idea. We're going to do that.
No, I want to do it all at once. I'm going to move everything down, so I'm not going to, wait to unbox things. And half the movies, I don't know if the only thing, I don't know if I have enough figures from movies that we've talked about on the show to unbox.
We'll pick movies that you have figures for.
Well, anyway, that's not a bad idea, but I don't know.
Do you have any James Bond figures?
It's funny you mentioned that.
Because we were planning a James Bond week or two.
What if I told you that I actually have a box, not just a box of figures in boxes. What if I told you I have a box of James Bond figures that hasn't even been opened, that has boxes of figures in them, and you know what one of them is?
Well, we're totally going to open those during the James Bond week. Yeah.
One of them is a woman.
A woman?
Jane Seymour.
Oh.
The fortune teller from Live and Let Die.
Oh.
And you know what she comes with? A chair.
So wait, if you have James Bond chair, if you have James Bond figures, you must have Sean Connery.
All my James Bond 12-inch figures are in my storage locker. I had a whole...
Yeah, but the figures you have now...
I only have 3. I have one Daniel Craig bootleg figure because they never made it.
And do you have a Sean Connery?
I had a lot of Sean Connery figures. I don't.
No, I'm talking about now.
I don't.
What that?
I don't, but I have a couple on order, and
On order?
They haven't made them yet. They're not made, and the ones that came out I couldn't afford, the Goldfinger collection. Well, we'll figure that out. Why do you gotta embarrass me in front of everybody?
I want a Zed.
I understand you want. They don't make a Zed. John is here, and John says, "Great flick. I watched it a couple nights ago for the first time. Thanks and cheers." John, as we all know, is father, Carmelo. By the way, I got your picture links. Thank you for that. I will be showing them on the show. John's dad, who is our official father on this channel, recently passed away. I bet he would like the fact that we drink to him.
Yes.
Let's drink to him. Here's your dad. Paul J.C. Marshall became a member of the channel. Wow. Why, thank you. Cardinal Sin was here and says, I really enjoyed the watch party last night. The question is, did you people talk during the movie? Because you shouldn't. Like a watch party.
That's the whole point of watching it together.
I know. But
they're not like you.
You have to be quiet.
You're not quiet. You quote the movies all the way through.
Come on. I didn't last night. I don't quote
because you slept.
No, come on now. Come on now. Tim says, I love this film, but I can't get my girlfriend to watch it. She flat out refuses to watch any Polanski movies. Whereas I don't agree with her, I know better than to try and change her mind. Are there any filmmakers whose work you can't watch for any reason? No. No. Because hundreds of people work on movies. And, I can completely disassociate. Well, I can no longer associate myself, but yes. Look, in the case of Roman Polanski, he committed a horrible crime. And I can understand where your girlfriend is coming from. I do. But you know what? He hadn't committed that crime when he made this movie.
That's
so
true.
Maybe you could look at that as a. And by the way, you know what? Roman Polanski he's committed one crime in his life. And that was after his wife and friends were slaughtered by Charles Manson. Can your wife watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Or your girlfriend? Because if she can watch that movie, Roman Polanski is a character in that film.
It's true.
So, I know. It's tough. It's tough. Swack Props. Hello, Cal. Of course you can meet the big red kahuna. You have the book. Just arrange the woodcuts in order. Laugh out loud.
That's true.
What Cal is referring to is he made me the 9 gates of the kingdom of heaven. Thank you, Swack Props. By the way, if you have not gone to Swack Props' Etsy store, it's funny because I feel like now I've been talking about this for a year and a half, but Swack Props, a longtime member of the Post Geek Singularity community, he makes prop paper products from movies, and they are amazing. And he makes a 9 Gates of the Kingdom of Heaven from, oh wait, whose movie? Roman Polanski's The Ninth Gate. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Michael Preston sends in a super chat and says, love this movie, just started watching The Prisoner. Oh, well, Michael. Cheers to you. Tomorrow we are doing The Chimes of Big Ben at noon. One of the great episodes of The Prisoner of all time. With heel versus Bayface.
I do.
So wow, this is this episode has it's not gone over that much, but we both love this movie.
Yes.
Our next movie that we're watching is theoretically on Thursday night.
Where's the list? You lost the list.
I didn't lose the list. It's like here somewhere.
You memorized it though?
Yeah, it's Let the Right One In.
Oh.
Thursday night is Let the Right One In. Saturday night is An American Werewolf in London. And people are like, well, which version of Let the Right One In? Well, there's only one.
Yeah, the Swedish
The American
one.
version is called Let Me In.
I've never seen the American version, and I don't want to.
It's not bad, actually.
Really?
Well, as far as remakes go, it's respectable.
Huh.
Yeah.
Then I want to see it.
Yeah, well, you should. It's good. So this brings us to the end of this episode.
Yes, it does.
Are you going to take us out?
We have to vote. We have to say how many.
Take us to our voting. The.
Are you going to switch the camera?
Oh yes. Am I going to switch? Yes, I am. As everyone knows, we have our we have our bottoms up scale of movies. And what is that scale?
Our bottoms up scale is from 1 to 4 glasses.
1 to 4 glasses of
because
wine.
There are 4 glasses in a bottle.
And Elysabeth, being the arbiter of cinematic excellence and the enchantress of entertainment, what would you vote? How many glasses of wine would you give this movie?
I'm going to give this 4 glasses of wine.
As am I. It doesn't get much better than this. Roman Polanski's film, 1968. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, this movie is 52
It's older
years.
than me.
52 years old. Unbelievable.
And it's great.
It's not older than me.
It is older than me.
And a fantastic film. Four glasses of wine from each of us.
Yes.
Well, amazing.
Right.
Amazing. I just want to point out that, for those of you who don't know, the first annual Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival is going on. We now have actually premieres through the end of the week, through Friday. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we'll have world premiere films for our film festival. But our voting for our official movie poster, we have 60 entries. That's right. Or you could say 60 entries for our film festival. And you can vote on them at the Burnettwork.net website. Please do. You can vote once a day. Well, one more day or 2 more days left for your favorites. Please go there and vote. I'm sure the artists that would appreciate it. So thank you for that. And tune in every day this week on the Burnettwork at noon for another world premiere. Tomorrow we have a children's video about why you should wear a mask.
Cool.
I'm sure a lot of people who watch this episode of Liz Views are going to be like, what? Look, I thought it was imaginative and fun, and you'll tell me. It's a music video about wearing a mask.
I haven't seen it yet.
With stuffed animals.
Ooh, I love stuffed
and
animals.
blue screen. Or green screen. Anyway, so there we go. So Elizabeth, I guess take us out.
Everyone you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen.
All you have to do is listen, that's right. And listen to the stirrings of Satan.
Don't listen.
The year
to
is
us.
one.
No. Tell him to get out. Say, in the name of Jesus Christ, get out.
The power of Christ compels you. Father Marin knew how to say that. But we're doing that on Halloween night. All right.
All right.
What do we do now?
Have a better night.
Have a better night? No. First of all, I got to thank my moderators.
Oh, my goodness.
I want to thank my great moderating staff, the greatest moderating staff on YouTube. I want to thank, first of all, Bunyan Snipe for joining the moderating staff. I want to thank Mike Bodden. I want to thank Greg Smith. I want to thank the Richard for running amazing watch parties and keeping this community together. I want to thank Joshua Levesque, who is here. I don't know who else is here as far as that is concerned. And we're going to have more and more new moderators joining us. And to keep this place fun and mirth-filled and horrific.
I think you got another super chat.
I did. Bunyan Snipe says, the Eurotrash guy was wearing a white suit suggesting he was once an angel. That could, okay, all right.
Oh, see?
That could be, or he's just Eurotrash. See, I don't know. I can't buy. Is this the mother? I mean, he would know. He would know.
He has to keep up appearances that he's a human.
They all know him.
But Mia Farrow doesn't.
Well, because she was drugged up and dreaming. I don't know.
Oh, my
Bunyan,
goodness.
I'm going to have to do some further research. But you make a compelling argument. Compelling argument. I would love that. I've learned something new. I have a new interpretation of this. That's pretty good. I like it. I mean, but lots of Euro guys wear white suits.
Oh my God.
I'm
He just
saying.
can't wrap his mind around it.
No, I don't know if I buy it.
Because for his entire life. 'Cause
Look,
this,
I don't think. I mean, he's a man of wealth and taste. Okay, he's been around. Okay, maybe. I find this compelling. This is very compelling, and I look. I have to wrap my head around it because my interpretation of the ending. I've always liked that guy, and I think it never occurred to me
well,
that
you
he
like
was Satan.
so
It never occurred to me, and now
maybe that's why you like that
it's
guy.
put the zap on my head. It really has. Bunyan has put the zap on my head. That's why he's a moderator on this channel. So that's good. All right, then.
Yes.
Anyway, I will be back on the John Campea Show tomorrow. I will be on the 6 of 1 show at noon, and I will be on Robservations at 2:30. That's the schedule tomorrow. And Thursday, we are back with Let the Right One In.
Yes, we are.
Halloween continues. Hail Satan.
Oh my God.
Are you going to hail Satan? No? You know, Satan represents love for those who deserve it, not love wasted on ingrates. I read that in the Satanic Bible. Anton Sandor LaVey's Satanic
Hell,
Bible.
you have the Satanic Bible?
What can I say?